infographic.
Good morning, Quasar Markets Live. I am here with my man, Stephen Big Beat, or on the day before Thanksgiving. How are you doing today, Stephen? Yeah. Yep.
Is that good? Well, that's actually higher than inflation. So for the first time in probably 4 or 5 years, the GDP of the United States has outpaced the inflation rate, and that is when you can see the markets really take off. So because there, as we talked about yesterday, there's a massive disconnect between the economy and the stock market. What the realization of
Absolutely.
both is
I
different.
I
So
did put up
yeah.
your interview with Michael Litt on the YouTube station today. Make sure folks should go get that again. Michael C. Litt of 4 Point fame, one of the gentlemen who made literally billions of dollars during the financial crash. Calling on, he sold against Bear Stearns and Lehman Brothers before they both went out of business. He went short on those, and he breaks down everything for us on a macro level, and that's it. You and I were talking about it, or I asked you about it, and you sort of explained it because, as we said, you know, you're nervous. Lots of very smart long term investors are nervous. But meanwhile, QQQ at all time highs, SPY at all times. What is that disconnect? And, you guys did a great job of explaining that yesterday. So we have that up there. I also say, answering to one of the things you said, yeah, I made this new wonderful screen that everyone's looking at right now because I was ready when PCE hit at 8:30. This thing was going to take off, and I was going to have all this insight. And it was like crickets. Nothing really moved. Bitcoin caught a bid. Crypto caught a little bit of a bid. Gold caught a little bit of a bid, but nothing else really moved. DXY, which is the one, we have our man Stephen Flanagan on a little while. He always tells us money moves first, and that didn't really move. So I think that says it all for what you're saying. Volumes
There
are
were some
low.
interesting points in the PCE numbers, and I'll tell you one thing that I saw in the PCE numbers was personal income was up 0.3%, and personal consumption or consumption adjusted month over month was up 0.3%. What does that mean? that we're spending everything that we're making.
Yeah.
People get a raise, they're spending it, right? Come on, people.
They
I'm
have
just
to
saying.
spend it. Unfortunately, like we've said, the disconnect is, I will say that food was, I found to be really I think that everybody knows that they look at that turkey number and the price of Thanksgiving dinner. It's talked about on TV for a month leading up into everything. And they kept those prices low. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I've been
Yep.
very surprised. Those staple items have been pretty good. The difference is what I call my country margin, which is how much eggs cost when I buy them from my neighbor versus how much they are at the supermarket. Eggs in the supermarket are above $3. I
Right.
get them $3. There is no inflation when it comes to farmers. They pass those savings right on to their
But
consumers. And
I did the numbers yesterday. I was looking at yen. I was looking at the Russian ruble, which, by the way, the Russian ruble is at the lowest in history against the U.S. dollar,
yeah,
um, for obvious reasons. But if you look at it from the perspective, I took what a Big Mac and what a gallon of milk and what a case of Coke. Those are the three things that I try to, because they're main staples in the United States. What are the costs around the world? And comparatively, if you're an American, United States American, you going and foreign, you're smiling all the way to the bank. I mean, Japanese yen. I was just looking at, because I got to be in Japan, Tokyo, and I was shocked. I was thinking it's going to be very, very expensive to be in Tokyo, and due to the fact that our dollar is just so strong, it's pretty much even. I looked at it from the perspective of Switzerland, which is always expensive in general, and I know that pretty much even because the
yep.
dollar has really pushed against the Swiss franc and against the euro here. And look, margaritas are really cheap right now. I mean, it's
Oh yeah,
almost
if you're going to Mexico over the
$1.
holidays, you're pretty happy right now, or at least you should be buying your pesos right now. Although I think that's going to get exasperated. I have seen, Stephen, I do have to have a little bit of follow-up conversation with you from yesterday because
Sure.
now it's saying that Trump's going to try to enact this National Emergency Act and he will try to push those tariffs through off the start. Do you think that actually happens now? Is he
You
emboldened
mean
because
the tariffs against Canada and Mexico?
Mexico? Yeah.
Look, then he will have. Then if that's the case, then NAFTA will be a problem. We haven't. Here's what's really strange. NAFTA was started by the Clinton administration. That was where we worked on, right? North American Free Trade Agreement. And for those of you who don't understand, the free trade agreements amongst countries is nothing new. It's European has it, the Shenzhen provinces has it, Shenzhen in China within the Chinese provinces they have it. Uh, if you look at it from the perspective of LATAM, they have one too as well. Copa down there, and you'll look at NAFTA here between North American Free Trade Agreement. All right. So what does that mean? Is that means look, I don't know if Trump doesn't have a degree in education or something or in straight up economics, but it hurts the United States in a lot more ways than we even think. Did you know that our cars, wherever they're made, and sometimes they're made, we are mostly built in Mexico,
Yep.
and then they're moved over to Tennessee
And
to finish
finished
up the
here. Yeah.
build, right? If you look in your car, most of your parts are coming from Mexico. If you look at Canada, the north part of the United States, we get a lot of their nat gas out of Canada. If you look at Canada from a perspective of lumber, you want to build your house. Well, guess what? Your house cost just went through the roof.
Yeah.
Literally, pun intended. We use a lot of Weyerhaeuser, which is a yes, a U.S. company, but it's also gets a lot of lumber and a lot of parts and things from
Yeah, I mean, it definitely
Canada.
is an issue. I saw articles already telling people what big ticket items they might want to pick up before the end of the year. Refrigerators are number one for anybody that's wondering.
And what did I say on Schwab on last Friday? I said, you know what? If you're going to do your right now, it's time to buy a washer dryer. Now it's
Yeah,
time to buy a refrigerator. If you don't get one soon, it's going to be years. If look, passing this is not just about passing tariffs. It's also about sticking a needle in the eye of our neighbors, which we don't need to be
yep,
doing, right? And
right. Not
blaming
it's not
it
it's
on immigration.
when it comes to what's going on, with China, I do think sometimes tariffs or the threat of tariffs is the only thing they sort of understand. They do it, we do it, Europe does it with them. It seems to be there. But
But the
that's a
difference
more
is why.
animosity in there. You know what I mean? This is our neighbors, our friends, the people. The reason we have NAFTA is to make us stronger as a region so that we can compete with China's in Europe, which is the Eurozone,
Correct.
and all that. So, yeah, I'm with you
Using it
there.
as
It
a
will be
tool against
interesting.
immigration is the dumbest thing ever, and I'll say it out loud. And look, I got lots of friends in this administration, and I'm kind of excited about this administration. I think it's brought some excitement, especially the crypto world. But tariffs never work. They have never worked in the history of this country. They always backfire. Let me repeat that. They always backfire.
Yeah,
And
the
the
only hope I
biggest
have
thing,
is, we know our man is the art of negotiation, right? Isn't that one of his books? And
even if
hopefully
even if you're
that's
using this negotiation, you're sticking your thumb in the eye of our neighbors,
But
right?
that's what
And
he
you're saying,
does. I mean, that's his negotiation style. Is I'm going to hold you over a candle or hold you over the side of the largest skyscraper I build, and give you the terms that I'm now going to pay you with.
well, here's the difference. Mexico and Canada are self-sufficient. We're not. The
Yeah,
United
no, I
States is
know.
not
We have the
self-sufficient.
largest trade deficit. We just had the largest trade deficit, I think, in 12 years. It just said. So,
Yeah.
that is definitely the part. I guess that's the other part that I think he needs to keep a closer eye on is how much we do need that trade.
And guess what?
And if the
And guess what's
dollar
gonna
keeps
hurt the
going
worst?
up, then they're not going to buy stuff from us anyway. So now you're
That's right.
double, you're
Guess what?
exacerbating the
It
problem.
hurts Americans more than anybody because we got to pay more, and inflation goes up, and now you're the inflation president, and
Yeah.
your
Listen, I
inflation
don't
is
want to
not
scare Ron
inflation.
off again today, so let's turn this around. Let's talk about
Let's
Bitcoin,
find some
man.
bright
Nice
spots.
bounce back.
Yeah.
94,200. We were long MSTR. I think you closed your position, but I am still in that long position. Because I'm in from before they made that big run up here. So I'm still riding this out with us, and I'm only riding it out with 1/4 of a position. I did close out the other 3/4 when it made that move up last week. So, but 94,200. I've pointed out to people in our Slack channel that as long as we stay above 91 here today, it's going to be very positive. And I'll point that out here on the daily chart. You can see we developed a nice little consolidation level where we were stuck at resistance, with 91 being that key resistance here for several days before we made the move to the all-time high and broached that 99,000 rank. So I had no problem seeing us bouncing off that now as support and moving back up. That's extremely undercut and rally, right? That's what we just did.
Yeah.
So this is what we want to see. And looking bullish so far today. We'll see if we can keep the bulls, can take the bears out. There are a lot of expiries this weekend. This weekend, Friday. We do want to keep that in mind, everybody. There is monthly expiries coming on Friday. We won't be here, but you want to be keeping it close to the vest there. I will be looking at probably closing my MSTR out here today before we get into Friday. I think there's some, chance for explosive moves with lower volume on Friday. All it would take is one institution to make a big move on MSTR, and it could move that needle tremendously. We are looking to be opening down just a little bit here. SPY is about even. I see QQQ's down about 0.2 of a point here today, again on muted volume so far. WTI, oil moving down still, Steve, after, it does. The other good news that we didn't really talk about is ceasefire between Lebanon and Israel. Hopefully gives us some rays of hope there that we can get out of the issues that we've seen in the Middle East and get back to a little bit more normalcy there. And that's got crude back down below 69 here.
And you're right. And whenever we're below 70, it always means one thing, that we might need to fill the SPR a little bit. I haven't looked at the last numbers of SPR, but we're still not quite filled up, but we're doing okay.
Yeah, it was about 3/4, I think. Last
Three
time I
quarters.
looked, I
Yeah.
haven't looked recently. I will say 10-year and 30 dropping, and I did see that mortgages picked up. So as rates did drop, people took a little bit of an advantage of it. I think that's what you're going to see moving forward is when something causes a drop in interest rates, people that have been waiting are going to run to their mortgage bankers to try to get a mortgage when it's lower. But, again, the new norm that we are probably going to see is, mortgages in that 4 to 5 rate, not really getting back below that. So does change that narrative when it comes to
On
buying a home.
Interesting. We just talked about it a few minutes ago about the tariffs. John Stoltzfus, the chief investment strategist at Oppenheimer, now says that The broadening of the market is undeniable, and he sees stocks being able to handle trade and tariff threats from President-elect Donald Trump. That's interesting to me.
Yeah, that's like I said, there's been a few different takes. Some people have been pretty dismissive, say that this is just sort of, it's not gonna affect the market as much, and others are calling, it out as a huge issue. It's a tough one. When there's that much device, it means no one really knows what's going on, right? There's just a lot of uncertainty. Steve, I got to ask you, nat gas down about 6.71% here. Is there a buy zone you would look at on your
Not
UNG
there
here
yet,
at
but you know
1508?
my thoughts. My thoughts are to buy nat gas going in the winter here. I'm not long yet, but I want everybody to get ready for that because we will be going long. I don't think that we're there yet, but it could be getting closer and closer.
I
I
see on
mean,
the
right
daily
now,
chart, it's got a little bit. It seems like it bottoms out in that $13 range, is about as low as I see here for a while. And that's
13.
bounced back up in that
Oh,
13
UNG.
range.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. UNG,
Spot
$13.
nat gas is at 311 here now, thousands cubic feet, square feet. Look, I think we're going to continue to sell off just a little bit because we're going to try to get liquidity out of there. But you're going to start to see a lot of these firms start to buy nat gas and preparing for the winter. So yeah,
I'm setting myself an alert here for us to see if that does get down to that 13
if it
level.
gets under, if spot nat gas gets under 3, I'm in, baby.
Okay, so let me put the alert on that then. That would make more sense. I'm going to trade it on UNG personally,
Yeah, yeah, of
because
course, yeah.
I've used
Mhm.
it in the past and just familiar with it. But let me put that on the nat gas itself, an alert for $3. That way we
Yeah,
know.
anything under 3, I'm ready to roll.
Okay, I love that call. I mean, again, this is one that pretty much, um,
But I also don't want to screw myself either over that too. 94.3 here on Bitcoin, still pushing, but you know what I'm really excited about is 3,500 again on Ethereum.
I was going to bring that up with you. Ethereum back towards 3,500, really moving up nicely. Most of the alts I saw were moving up nicely. Um, you see Solana's up 2.79 today. Ripple back close to that 145 level. Cardano back above $1. Doge at almost 40 cents here. Your Sheeb, I can't count those decimal points, but up 3%. Um,
Yep.
Chainlink up almost 4. I will say we haven't talked much about that. And I'm not doing a crypto corner this week because we normally do it on Fridays, but next week I'll do it earlier in the week. I want to talk a little bit more about Chainlink because as things are launching right now and as things are being built out, you're going to see that Chainlink, which is what's called an oracle, it allows trusted data to be shared through blockchains, and to bring data into blockchains is going to start to really be one of the ones in my mind that I'm going to take a look at that I think has a huge upside. I think, especially with the new administration, they're one of the ones that hasn't cleared regulatory hurdles yet. Hasn't really been, it hasn't been on the negative side of regulatory hurdles, but it hasn't got that clarity that you want to see. That's definitely one I'm keeping an eye on. Steve, did you see there's we got a new ticker coming out today, Pony AI. This one's like a triple whammy for something to watch. Chinese autonomous driving IPO day before Thanksgiving. I just want to watch this thing. I am not going to be playing it personally,
It's a lot
but
like sticking your finger in a light socket.
I was like, wow. I mean,
It's
we
curious.
had a lot, but I will say, listen, they are fun to watch. I remember Nicola when the day Nicola launched and we were all in COVID, watching you on our, Zoom Slack channel thing that we used to do amongst all our friends. So I'm excited to watch it. I don't see a ticker for it here. I was hoping they shared a ticker.
Hopefully they
Um,
don't. Man, that's like sticking a finger in a light socket, man. It's curious as a child to look at it, but when you stick your finger in it, it's not fun.
yeah, don't
So,
lick it. I did
uh,
that as a kid, and the my buddy had a
you gonna
tree
look at?
fort.
Okay, all right, yeah, I
Yeah,
got.
that's always fun. He told me to lick it. Yeah. I wasn't stupid enough. I did believe I never licked the frozen flagpole, so at least I avoided
All
that
right,
one.
so let's see if we're gonna go those kinds of shows. How be careful, you'll shoot your eye out. How about
That's
that? Yeah,
that's my favorite movie. And my next door
yeah.
neighbor did do that, and it does happen. Just so you know, growing up, I mean, I grew
I
up
have been,
in the
I have had
Northeast in
down my whole
Boston,
life.
north of Boston. So that idiot did stick his tongue on the flagpole at the neighbor's house, and it did stick. Now all you had to do was use hot water to get it off, but he was the laughing stock of the neighborhood for a while. Steve, speaking of laughing stocks, how about French stocks?
Hmm.
I had a laugh because they said that they might send the French in to help the Ukraine. I said that's just mean, having the French go help somebody in a war.
Well,
But
within Quasar markets, you can watch French stocks. You can watch, and of course, they have what they call the CAC 40, CAC 40 in Europe, and it's a very very big exchange. It's their benchmark of the French stock market, kind of like think of it like our Dow Jones CAC 40.
it looks about
Um,
the exact opposite chart of the S&P as I pull up the daily here for us to take a quick look
yeah,
at. That looks about the opposite of the S&P, huh?
yeah, and listen, I totally get it. And of course, the bourse in France. We're about 10 minutes out, but look, uh, the bourse and the CAC 40. I like buying things when they're cheap.
Yeah, you
So
mentioned
I
that.
don't like buying things when they're high. So guess what? This is pretty cheap. And Europe comes back. They always do. Maybe Christine Lagarde will finally step down. She's been very, very bad. Um, we know that. So when you look at the Euronext or the CAC 40, there's a lot of things that are really in that. And one of the things that they have is, where ours is tech stack with Apple and things of that nature. They have autos.
Right.
Automobiles is a big deal. Aston Martin, Unilever, things of that nature that are big, right? And you
Is
can look at the
Ferrari still
FTSE.
Italian?
It is, yeah. And if you look at FTSE, of course, you can buy Ferrari race on the stock market here. But you've got JD Sports, you've got the FTSE, or you've got Unicredit. So they got banks inside of it too as well. So they're more old school than say our stock market. We try to change things out to make it more indicative of who we are now, software more now than it ever has been. Um, and so that's why they're still kind of lagging. They're not quite lagging yet, but their year to date is down about 5.5%.
Right, yeah.
And, their a 1 year change from last year is down about 2%. So they are very lagging in the United States, obviously, and which means that the foreign money has been pouring into the United States, and that money will come out and it will go back somewhere else. And I like buying stocks when they're cheap. I don't like buying things when they're high, and that's why I don't like really playing on our own pond right now because things are high here and where
Right.
things are cheap there. So yeah, but they're very concerned about tariffs. I mean, they really are very very worried. They have
Would
they
you
have
look
some.
at something like MSCI Europe for that type of play?
Okay, yeah, MSCI, great company. I just saw them the other day. Their team. Yeah, of course. They have lots of different ETFs over there with MSCI. Look, and of course, index trading has been the most popular thing lately, right? And so I continue to think that look at that 94,500. Here we go. Could get to 95 today, actually, right back up. There are a lot of MSCIs, but I'll tell you the one that I kind of like the most is their emerging markets one. I think that's EAFE, if I'm not mistaken. If I look it up,
E what?
EAFE, right? Uh, and yeah, look at all there. And you can look at, if you just type in the letter E, you'll pretty much pull up every single, if you're looking at TradingView within our own system, Quasar Markets. Um, the so let's look at this one. This is one of my favorites, the growth one, EFG. See if you can find that one, or IEFA, as I was trying to bring up to it. IEFA.
EFGs is their growth, it looks like.
Correct.
EAFE growth.
So I'm looking at their growth, or I'm looking at their overall investment version. So you can also look at IEFA. That's if you're looking for long term. I don't know that we're quite there yet with the bottoms, but if you're looking to diversify, that good word that we like to use, it's not a bad place right now. And look, while you're holding it, it pays a dividend of 3.16%. So If you're looking at diversifying out of the United States a bit, and you want to be in Europe, right now it's pretty good. But this stock doesn't. These ETFs don't move much. These funds don't move. They're not crazy. Um, they kind of benchmark the whole, and so you are protected a little bit. There is less risk, shall we say?
Yeah, in 5 years, it's up 12%. Year to date, up 3.68. 1 year, about 7%.
Yeah. So it's not keeping up with us, right?
Yeah. No, it doesn't. Doesn't look like it keeps up with us.
You can also try.
Okay, we are about 6 minutes out here. I did have the early winners and losers so far. Robinhood up about 3% here. SMCI, they did something that most people you don't normally see. They were Monday the best performing stock in the NASDAQ, and then on Tuesday they were the worst performing stock on the NASDAQ. So you don't normally see that daily double move back to back, and they had done that nicely. And you can see down at a low of 35.08 now. So giving back some of their gains.
Oil dropping, and
Autodesk continuing to get hit here.
we're seeing now WTI now 68.71 below the 69 handle. They just got smacked again.
Most of the earnings plays yesterday did not work out very well for people. Although I do see Dick's after it made a move up, then it gave most of that move back. It is up about 2.69% here today. Abercrombie again up about 2.31 here pre-market trading. Workday got hit really hard, down about 12% after earnings. Same thing with 3D. And again, Workday had a beat on earnings, forward guidance. So we're seeing the same thing play out time and time again, it looks like, which is forward guidance, forward guidance, forward guidance, more important than the numbers because, for instance, on Workday, their EPS came in at a 6% beat. They were looking for $1.78. They came in at $1.89, and they had a 1% beat on the top line revenue. Still didn't help the stock. Also, again, 3D, they did have a miss. They had a pretty big miss when it came to their EPS. They were expecting to be down about 9 cents, negative 9 cents, and they were actually negative 12 cents. So, and they had a miss on their top line revenue. CrowdStrike was one I was interested to see if it would get any move. It didn't do as much, only down about 1%. Not much of a move there on CrowdStrike. They did have earnings beat. They were up about 15% on their EPS, and about 3% on their top line revenue. So, holding up pretty well, CrowdStrike, so that's good to see. Dell was another one that got hit hard. My takeaway there, though, again, they talked about the amount of chips that are going to be needed here for AI and the orders that are already into them for data centers. So it's what we keep talking about here. It's all about chips and data centers.
Here we go. Jim Cramer just says that Bitcoin deserves a spot in your portfolio.
Can he please not do that? I'm going to send him a nice gift basket and ask him not to talk about Bitcoin.
An apple from Snow White's Queen, I think.
Yeah. No, I'll be nice. I'll just send him a nice bottle of wine and say, hey, buddy, how
Get
about you
drunk
just leave
and
crypto?
watch your Eagles and be quiet. Yeah.
Yeah, why don't you
Look,
just
look, I
not
get it.
talk about
It's
that?
okay. It's okay. I mean, I think people ignore him at this point now.
Yeah,
Um,
he's become more of a parody. It's actually sad because the guy, I mean, he's done a
he's
lot
actually a
for
nice
the
guy.
industry
He
and
does
for
done a lot for
trying
the industry.
trying
Yeah.
to inform people. For those that like my daily pumpers, there's a few here to keep an eye on there, Steve. IDAI already up 100% after being up 100% yesterday. So this one looks like it's going to try to do what VST did for a while there and just double every day. It still looks really strong here. I can't argue with IDAI here. T-stamp. No idea why it's flying that high, but it is. Another one that actually looked pretty good today. This one's now faded away. See, I look at these a little earlier. Let me pull that one off. Not interested there. TRNR, which is interactive strength, is one that made its move up here. We'll see. Could take another pump up. I'd be looking for it to break that $4 mark. CYCN, another one that looks really good here. Trying to break through VWAP here. If it does at 222, this is one to keep an eye on for a playback up towards $3. So CYCN, one of my favorites that I've seen so far for the setup. The other one, QMCO, which has got a nice pumps It's made its third pump, but it's made higher highs on its pump, so it's one that I definitely am keeping an eye on. We are about 2 minutes away here from the open. Let's see if there's any other. Urban Outfitters was an
MSTR is
interesting one.
down
Urban
about.
Outfitters has a nice little move up here today of about 13%. Looks like it wants to run. So a pumper here, Urban Outfitters, and you can see they've got 4 times their normal daily volume already in the pre-market hours. So this is definitely one to keep an eye on, Steve. I haven't heard about this name in forever. They used to remember they were a big deal in DC back in the day. Urban Outfitters, everybody in their camo.
Biggest store in Georgetown, right?
Yeah, forever. But that one's interesting to me. HSAI also. There's a few pumpers that are interesting today that look like they do want to run. This one looks really nice for a move back up towards this 855 from 761. So you do got a couple of them right here that look like they want to run. If this can hold VWAP here, that'd be a great move. Yeah, that one doesn't have enough volume. I'm going to pull it off. Wanted to see if it would pick up some volume this morning. It didn't. Tick slightly negative, slightly positive now as I say that.
All
VIX
right.
down
Well,
under 14, Steve. Again, Scott Bauer, we had him on yesterday. His interview is up on our station. Also, give it a
here we
watch. A lot
go.
of good information about IBIT options. But again, telling people that he is looking at buying some VIX future calls here. That they, buy that protection now when you don't need it, as you two have always
MSTR is
taught me.
dropping here now, 381.
Here we go. We are open. Let's see what we get out of the start here. Pull up QQQ down about 0.4 of a percentage point, and first couple of ticks not very positive there. Bitcoin right at 94,465, so holding up pretty well so far. Gold
All right.
2650 here. Still seeing a sell off across QQQ here, Steve, pretty hard.
Yeah, a little
Down
bit
at
of
the lows
profit
of the day,
taking, I
just
think.
wow, getting hit pretty hard here.
All right. So I'm in MSTR here a little bit. I'm not much.
We tempted you back into the evil side, huh?
Yeah, I think so. I'm just gonna take some profit here a little bit.
Quick scalp, I can't argue there. Like I said, I'm in that MSTU. I am looking for this to run back up towards 200 though today. I do think, I will say MSTR, if you look at the chart, you can see 2 times it broke through 400. It has made a real nice move through it. So if it does get that high here, you can look for a run, up towards that 440 area is what I've got targeted. So definitely one that I'm keeping an eye on today. I'm going to let it run, like I said, towards at least the afternoon. I do think you could see some volatility here this morning. But if you do get that above the 400 mark, it will shoot to 440 pretty quick, in my opinion. So that is what I'm looking at on it personally. Bitcoin got a
Hmm.
little bit of a sell, but not too much here. Again, holding up pretty nicely at 94,332. Gold holding that 2650 handle right now. Tick now going positive about 324. Doesn't seem to be helping the Nasdaq. Let's take a look at the Mag 7, and if I had to guess, there you go. Nvidia down about 2.27%, and 6 out of the 7 are in the red so far this morning. Netflix had a great day yesterday. It is down about a half a percentage point here. Amazon, again, another one that was up about 2 points yesterday, down a half a point. Did see a little bit of talk today, Steve, about worries for Amazon that, the trade tariffs definitely bad for them. Makes
Yeah,
sense, right? They get a lot of their goods, that we buy through Amazon from around the world.
correct.
So keep an eye there. Bitcoin losing a little bit of momentum here, trying to pick back up, holding 94,400 pretty well. WTI back at 68,605.
Come on, MSTRs, pop,
Abercrombie
pop,
now
pop.
up 3.36% here this morning. Hey, Boeing's been holding above that 150 mark, Steve, for a little bit here. That's good to see. Does seem like China is getting a little bit of love today. I see Baba up about 2.21%, Baidu up 1.78%, Coinbase up about 3.31% here this morning. Delta Airlines moving back up also. It's been holding these highs pretty well in that 64 area here. So Delta is consolidating. That's an interesting one, Steve. That chart here, you can see after 52-week high, but it's consolidated nicely at those 52-week highs. John Deere up about 1.23% here. That one has taken off
What
since
about
earnings.
Let's look at CrowdStrike here. Now down about 4%, so it's definitely not where it was yesterday. So it's yeah.
Mealy, Steve, 21.14. Man, that one just likes to kick me in the eye. Continuing to move up. SMCI positive about 1% here on the day. You know what? I'm interested.
Yeah, it looks like Bitcoin can push right on up. Come on,
Yeah, Tesla
MSTR.
moving up and crypto moving up in general here. UNH up about 1.22% here. See if any of those pumpers are moving here. Looks like the pumpers are moving in the wrong direction in general. Yeah, all the pre-market pumpers, not one of them moving in the right direction here.
SoftBank's investing 150 billion in OpenAI. Whew.
Wow. I will say, Urban Outfitters here trying to run up 14.35% here. We talked about it here before the open. Gapped up nicely here, trying to hold its gains. It's got room to run back towards that all-time high, so it does look like it wants to make a move to the upside here. Same thing, HSAI. So those seem to be the only two pumpers still in the game from this morning. Although IDAI is trying to make a move back up here. Ticket is positive here. QQQ moving back up after that initial sell-off a little bit. Trying to come off the lows of the day. Bitcoin right back at that 94,500 level. Ethereum just below 3,500.
Yeah, we need Ethereum to push here a little bit.
Let me switch my screener over to the pumpers.
XLF on a 52-week high here.
Wow.
Okay, still pushing 384.50. Come on, 385.50. I'm out of MSTR.
Nice.
Nailed that one again this morning, folks. Yeah, how about that? Way to stick with me.
Micron down about 1.82% here this morning. Chips in the red across the board pretty much. Especially
Oh,
the bigger ones.
386.80 now on 387 now. There it goes. There goes MSTR.
Yeah.
387 now. 83.8. But boom, 387.80 is the high there. About to break that too.
Oh yeah, it's going.
Quick update. The markets obviously for Thanksgiving are closed, and they will close early at 1 o'clock on. There you go, 39 now on MSTR. We'll close at 1 o'clock. We will not be here on Friday. Taking a little bit of a break. We've had a good run here. 389.60 now on MSTR. Now up 10%. As Bitcoin
Yeah,
down
buddy. And it keeps
94,100.
going.
Yeah.
164 on my MSTU here off of the
I, you
lows
know,
yesterday. Picked some of that more of that up about 130 yesterday. IBIT's
could
up
totally see.
4.35% here. So again, what we are seeing is a bigger move up by the ETFs than what we see in Bitcoin. That has led to some bullish days here, Steve. We've been watching that as sort of an indicator, right? What is
You're told.
IBIT? What do these ETFs open up at? If they're opening up with a bigger percentage win than Bitcoin, it's sort of an arbitrage opportunity, and it tends to mean that we have seen recently a move up by Bitcoin. So let's see if that plays through today. Definitely an interesting one to watch. Look at MSTR running, baby. Come on. Looks like it's struggling to get above 390 here.
Yeah, it seems like a top starting to be formed up there. It's kind of high today, I think.
Nice run up so far, though.
And we also want to make a mention today on the show that it is Paul Valella's birthday today.
Happy birthday, Paul. We had Paul on. I have his interview ready to go today. Is going to be up on our channel. Paul is the CEO of Hire Capital, one of the larger executive hiring firms out there. He came on Friday, talked a little bit about the labor market with us. For those that did not see the interview, and I know you were out of town, Steve. Paul did talk about the fact that he thinks the market is not as strong as the numbers say. He thinks that there's some, behind the scene things going on and that's being held up by hospitality right now. But that when you look at especially the mid managers and above, when they're losing their jobs, they're having troubles finding new ones. So just some takeaways from Paul, and happy birthday
Oh,
to him.
MSBR getting smacked here, 3-3 now. Oof. Do we reload here?
QQQ can't really get above 0.54 here, 0.54 down. SPY still negative, but trying to go positive, it looks like here. Gold catching a bid back above 2650 here. Bitcoin back above 27,650 now. That's good to see.
I feel like I made my money this morning, so I think I'm going
Coinbase
to
up almost 4% on the day.
sit on my hands today.
There you go. Nike getting a little bit of love today, up 1.52%. Nvidia coming off the lows of the day, now moving back up, coming towards the highs of the day. So Nvidia doing a quick turnaround here. 135.14 is high of the day so far at 134.62 here after dropping down to 133. SMCI now up 5% here. So let's see if SMCI tries to go for the triple play. Like we said, it was the leader in the S&P, or excuse me, on the Nasdaq on Monday. It was the most laggard yesterday. What does it do today?
One of the things that I mentioned on the show a couple times now is the number of insiders. If you want to know insiders, you can pull it up on our Quasar market system, within the Edgar system, both on the AI and on the Edgar system itself, Form fours. But insiders of those companies are dumping their own stock at the highest level they've ever seen in history. There you go. We could have pulled the trigger on MSTR. I just couldn't do it. Right back up, looks like.
Yeah, some of that though, insider selling, you just always sort of have to watch, make sure you know what you're looking at there, because some of these we've seen in the past, they're planned sales that have been there and stuff. But I mean, you can't argue with someone who's inside Nvidia and watched it go up 400% in the last 2 years. To take some profit is just smart, the same way as we talk about other things. QQQ doesn't seem to want to catch a bid here, still stuck at that same sort of level, 506.75
388.
area, just doesn't want to make a move off of it one way or the other. SPY, same thing.
Here we go. Come on, 95,000 on Bitcoin coming up on it. Got about 100 points to go here.
Yep. Commodities all catching a bid here. We see green across Bitcoin, Ethereum, gold, silver, copper.
S&P says that, okay, let me pull that back up here. Just lost it. S&P says on Q1 2025 global economic outlook, they're now saying that risks rising as new U.S. administration's policies may raise inflation pressures and tighten financial conditions. Says the forecast global GDP growth about 3% in 2025, with U.S. slowing to below 2% next year, and China moving towards 4%. We've been talking about that. It's
Yeah.
just specifically it's bad policy, right? To talk about tariffs, even if you are using it as a tool, it's going to hurt the economy. Yeah.
Yep, definitely doesn't help it. Bitcoin still
Here
moving
we
up here,
go. Come on, Bitcoin.
94,880.
Come on, Bitcoin. Let's push. 35.22 now on Ethereum there. 35.22 on Ethereum. That's what I wanted to see this morning.
VIX has regained $14. Come on, Bitcoin can't break 95 here. Struggling so far to get across it. Holding up pretty well though. Mara up another 7.5% here at 26.85. Does seem like China and Bitcoin are the theme of the day so far, Steve.
Yeah,
Chinese
Ethereum is
stocks,
really
Baba,
running.
JD, Baidu, Neo, all moving up here this morning along with Bitcoin. Dollar
Ethereum is
Tree
up
up
almost.
2% here.
Ethereum up almost 6% this morning here. SMCI up almost 6% here.
Yeah.
Okay.
MSTR struggling to get back above that 386 level so far. Qualcomm, one of the chip companies. SMCI now up 5.61%, Steve. That is just crazy. It just wants to just jump and cross. Tesla, nice up about a half a point here.
Yeah,
Seeing
I mean,
from Reuters, Asia, court overturns U.S. sanctions against cryptocurrency mixer Tornado Cash. That would be
oh,
pretty
really?
big news in the crypto space. That would be very big news. Could
I'm
get.
not a big fan of Tornado. I mean, it's too quick to spin out the money.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like Tornado Cash is nothing but a mixture that's meant to obscure who owns coins. I don't like it at all.
Can you
But
explain that to
interesting
everybody
to
out here?
see that, and this was done again. This is a U.S. story, so
Howard, can you explain Tornado Mixer to everyone here?
sure. Tornado Mixer is a way that you could put Ethereum and other Ethereum paste and Bitcoin tokens into a website and using an app, and it would basically mix it into a huge group of other Bitcoin or Ethereum, and then spit it out on the other side. So used a lot by North Korean hackers, used by hackers throughout the world to hide funds. They're able to try to elude authorities. The good news is that the DOJ basically broke it, so they can track the funds, and they have. But it's definitely been the number one way that Korean hackers have taken crypto and been able to use it. So, but this was a New Jersey judge, three panel judge in New Jersey said that that went against the sanctions. So that's an interesting one because that is
Yeah.
not the new administration that has anything to do with this. Wow, SMCI now up 7% almost on the day. MSTR has regained that 385 mark. So after seeing the jump, it looks like things are kind of wearing out. Tick down about 105 here. Dow Jones has gone positive almost 0.2%. SPY's pretty much been pegged right around that 600 level here, down just slightly on the day. QQQ can't really break above 507 yet, down about a 0.5 percentage point on the day so far. We are now seeing that Chinese bulk carrier is suspected of deliberately severing the Baltic data cable, says investigators. Yipeng dragged anchor for over 100 miles, cutting off internet links, says the investigator. So they had finally come up with those results.
So it was nefarious.
Yes. That's not a good one to have start off, you know?
Definitely not. What do you think about Dan Moorhead yesterday on CNBC, the CEO of Pantera Capital, calling Bitcoin to go to $745,000 in just a few years here?
Well, we've seen that 800 mark ballied around, and it has
Yeah,
to do, I believe, with the it would put Bitcoin at the market cap of gold. So I think that's the number because Novogratz threw out 800 on CNBC last week. So if I had to do the math there, what's 21 million times 800? And then go from there, I think it's a round number that has to do with that. I think it is. I mean, we again, not to keep going into our interviews yesterday, but with Scott Bauer, we went over the fact that IBIT right now is only 18% of that ETF is controlled by institutions. If you look at your average ETF, any ETF across the board, the average is about 80% held by institutions.
right.
So as Pantera was saying, Dan was saying yesterday, his thing is that all these private wealth companies are still very late, very, very late to the game. They're not in yet, and they're going to want to be. And that's why it's not late to the game. We're still early in it. I got to find somewhere. I know what I'm going to put up on Quasar Markets on our infomercial. It showed the halvings. We talk about the halvings when it comes to Bitcoin a lot, and people are already saying, hey, there's not much Bitcoin left. We're only at the fourth of like 38 halvings so that are going
Correct.
to happen.
Yeah.
You're only at number 4. So keep that in mind about how early you are there. What he also talked about is the fact that there are so many of the companies out there that have no exposure to blockchain technologies and Bitcoin, and that is going to change in a dramatic fashion. And when it does, that tidal wave that comes in is so much. Hey, we've seen Brazil is going to add it to is going to start a Bitcoin strategic
Yep.
reserve, right? Not
Yep.
surprising, they're part of BRICS, what the B in BRICS, and the
And
BRICS
they
nations.
want to make it a reserve currency.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's what I'm saying. Well, that's what came out of BRICS. BRICS came out and said that
yeah,
they made it very clear that part of their future philosophy is to have Bitcoin integrated into the BRICS nations as a way to circumvent using US dollars.
right.
So, that's not gonna slow down. You know, and they've made it clear Saudi Arabia's, sovereign fund made it clear that they would fund Bitcoin mining facilities across those nations because they've
Right.
seen what it's done for Argentina. They've seen what it's done for El Salvador. They've seen what it's done for Bhutan, right? Bhutan has,
And
one
you
of the
got to give it
largest
to
holdings of
Bukele because
Bitcoin.
the IMF came to him and said, "Look, you cannot do this. We will make your bonds. We'll call them in." And he said, "I don't care. I'm still going to do it anyway." And when he did that, I think it kind of shocked them in a lot of ways, and he didn't care. And guess what? He was right.
And it's
The
working, right? They're up billions of dollars on theirs,
they've
so
been buying schools and building. They built hospitals. I mean, it's just
absolutely. It's
nuts on
their
what
whole
they've done with
economy
it.
has changed. Listen, I mean, especially if you get into Central America, don't get me started because I could go on for hours on this stuff. But as
Right,
they use the US dollars. They don't have their own currencies in a lot of times.
right,
And what they don't get the advantage of is when the money printer goes burr, they don't get the benefits of that. They don't get the stipends that we saw during COVID. They didn't get stimulus checks. All they saw was the M2 supply just skyrocket and it just killed them. It's what we see in Central Africa, right, where they have a big reliance on the franc. Quite frankly,
was that
pun intended.
pun intended there, brother?
Yes, it
Yeah.
was.
All right. MSTR is struggling here at 387. I'm not touching it. I made my money for this morning. I think that was an easy play. I got out again a little too early, uh, but we're at 385.50 now, so it's kind of where I thought we would what it was going to go to, and it hit right at the numbers. So
Be careful as you say that 389.
yeah, you know
MSTR is one of those ones right now. It's so fun. You just can't, if you watch it on the short-term charts, you'll make yourself crazy.
what's
Um,
interesting for me on the MSTR chart, I've got it set at the 1 hour, and this morning I thought that I saw this yesterday when I got down there pretty cheap, and I got really nervous when it continued to fall, but it turned around. Obviously, we picked it all at the bottom and made money yesterday, and made money this morning, made money the day before on MSTR. Look, we might be getting toppy there on MSTR too as well. I know it matches the Bitcoin charts, but this thing was right around 500 a few days ago, right? So for me,
560.
yeah, wow, 560. But when I look at it from the perspective of the 200-day moving average, um, go ahead and pull that up. Actually, let's look at that.
I have the daily chart up for you.
Yeah, daily chart. You pull it up there. 200. What is 200-day moving average? 180. I mean, we're not even close, right?
Oh yeah,
So
the MA you can't you have to use like a 10 if you're going to use
right.
anything here.
So
For
it's
me, what it is,
nothing.
Steve, is if you look at my chart, I have support and resistance I use a script for that I like a lot. And you can see it's holding those support lines. It broke through the major support that was at 371, but got right down to that 340, I said, and bounced right back up. So right now it's holding supports. It's honoring, the technicals. It's at 390, again. I think that this is one that definitely has, and again, I'm looking for it at this 400 level that you can see it was at yesterday. And when it broke the 400 back on Tuesday, it made its run straight up to that 500 level. You can see it came down challenged here on Thursday. When it broke that 400 level again, it ran to 450. So history likes to do it in threes, right? So I'm looking for my third move here to 450, and that's what I'm playing it as right now. And until it proves me wrong and changes my thesis, that's where I'm sticking. It is getting close to 10 o'clock, and he stepped away. It looks like I was going to bring in our man a little early here. He was sitting there. Now he has
And
checked.
I'm going to step off, Howard, as I have another meeting to go to. But
Okay,
I will say hello to my buddy Stephen Flanagan, and I will
let's see. We'll
wish
give
him
him
a
1 second to
happy
come
Thanksgiving.
back in here. And Steve, you give your family my best and enjoy your Thanksgiving. I thank you for everything you do for us here, giving us all these winners. Now where do you go? I'm gonna go to my transition screen here. I thought he was coming in early. He stepped away.
Oil popping again, yeah, 69.13 there. So I got
Steve,
down
don't
below
look
six.
now. 391.
Yeah, I see it. Yeah.
That's all. Hey, listen.
I mean, look
If
for me, I took a
I
lot
am never
off.
going to argue with someone who takes profit, who has a system that works. Your system works without a doubt. I've watched it for years. It's just, it's what you do.
It's interesting. Ethereum 35.29, right? I mean, I took a lot of profit off on Bitcoin at the top, and I thought I was a little nervous, but I thought Ethereum was underrated and under oversold. So Bitcoin is not keeping up with Ethereum now. Ethereum is passing up for Bitcoin here soon.
Yeah, well, I mean that's it, and it does that. I mean, if you look, there's the Bitcoin, Ethereum. They actually have that here on TradingView.
We're doing it again, running again here, 94.9 now on Bitcoin here. Come on, baby. There it is, 35.30 now on Ethereum.
But if you
And
want, if you look, this is a great chart for those of you that are, what Steve just brought up is I'll use this a lot to decide, and Steve does, to decide whether to hold Bitcoin or Ethereum. And you can see this is the ratio here, the daily chart of a Bitcoin to Ethereum. So right now you need to use 26.9 Ethereum to buy one Bitcoin. It was as high as 31 just recently here. So, this is a good chart to use. It does a good job. It
Oh,
allows
good.
you.
There it is, 94,950 there on the high of the session here on Bitcoin here.
Yeah,
And
39,391 on MSTR
Uncle
also.
Timmy and little Billy are going to be talking to each other over Thanksgiving. So I will leave you with that. Howard, Hondo, little one, and your wife, happy Thanksgiving, and I will see you next week.
Absolutely. Guys, I'm going to put on our We'll Be Right Back screen here for a second while I wait for Stephen Flanagan to come in, and I will be right back in 1 minute.
All right, I'm back again. Now, yeah, can you hear me?
Welcome back, Quasar Markets Live, and we have a holiday treat for you before we leave for the week. We have Stephen Flanagan, our FX educator and the man who tells us money moves first. How are you doing today, Stephen?
Good morning, Howard. Happy Thanksgiving to all viewers. All I can say is what a difference a day makes. Now we got Trump threatening to tear up the USMCA with tariffs, and we got a peace apparently in the Israeli and Hezbollah. So the geopolitics has changed, and what immediately happens is you can see the dollar, the Dixie already reacting.
Absolutely. Hold on one second. I want to try to do this, see if that takes the lag away. Steve, can you hear me getting pretty good now? Is that a little better?
Yeah.
Okay. We got to talk DXY. Didn't move much this morning on PCE. Sort of a nothing burger. I had this beautiful chart out with all this stuff going on, ready to go, and nothing really happened. Were you surprised by that, or is it just no volume?
Well, lack of volume. I would emphasize as a risk manager, illiquid markets are in a mess. You coming off of a high of 108.07. You're right on the miss here of support. 106 breaks. You could see a sharp move back into the low 105s. This kind of this at the support level.
Steven, we are having problems here. Folks, we're going to take a break here. I don't think I'm having some problems transmitting here. So we are going to sign off, and we will see you guys on Monday.